All right, well, welcome back to another chat with my husband and I. This was a very popular and well commented on video in the past. So
Really?
yeah, I collected some questions for my Instagram.
And I do not know what they are yet.
Warren doesn't know what they are. I'm kind of just looking through these for the first time. So yeah, we're going to take some of your questions and just dive into it. I think it's kind of unique, figuring out how to find someone in the health space in terms of like partners, because I know that my life would be like infinitely more difficult if you were wanting to like, sit on the couch and drink beer or something. That would be horrible.
Or Diet Coke or ice cream.
Or any of the things, yeah. So
it is very hard to find someone that's like you.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, let's get into the questions. First question, we can just address this. I posted earlier, so I have shifted our dinner to 3:30 p.m. now.
I noticed.
Over the course of the last few weeks. So what is your take on that? Pros and cons, people are asking.
Pros and cons of moving dinner to 3:30. Well, it's very early. And the con is if you don't eat lunch or a good enough breakfast, it's hard to be done eating by 4:30 for the rest of the day. But we're evolving and I'm getting there, but it's really early. Also, if I have work to do after, I don't like eating and then doing a bunch of work. I like eating after my work, so that's a little tricky, but I do sleep better. Like if we can be done at 4:30 and then we have 4 hours of not eating before we go to bed, I mean, it definitely feels better. It's just so early and it's kind of weird. Like, what if we go and get invited to a dinner that's at 6? What, are we going to eat at 3:30 and just not eat at the dinner?
Yeah, but I've been doing that, so it doesn't matter because no dinner is early enough and no dinner is healthy enough. So, I mean,
yeah,
I'm surprised you even asked that because that's just what we do.
Well,
you don't even go to dinners.
This is only in the last couple of weeks we haven't, but this is going to be like, is this permanent or is this still an experiment?
No, I think it's permanent. I mean, ideally we want to have more time between when we go to bed and when we eat dinner.
Why not dinner at 1:30 then?
We could try it if you want to.
Oh boy.
So Warren and I have different eating schedules. Like I'm fine and I just do things as they should be done, I think. Like I don't really question it a lot. I just say, okay, if we're shifting the eating window up to 3:30, then I obviously need to be eating. Also for women, it's better to have working out fed.
Yeah, it's different for women. You can't put your schedule on me.
But in general, like moving up the timeline is really important. So if I know we're done eating at 3:30, then I'm going to eat at 9 o'clock and before my workout. So I get all of my protein and calories in. So seems like you're on the fence about eating at 3:30.
No, if we can make it work, I think we're building our life around what the optimal schedule is. So if it, like, I don't want to be a blocker. If you know it's optimal and it should be 2:30 p.m., then let me know and we can like look at what that looks like. But I mean, that's one of the more extreme things that you've done in our health ecosystem is pushing dinners, up from what I used to have as like 6. Then we went to 5 and then 4:30 and then 2 weeks ago she did 3:30. So I appreciate that you're evolving it and you're not just overnight going from 6 to 3:30 because that would be hard.
Great, I love that. Flaws that each of you that bug you. Oh boy. So first of all, you really don't have that many flaws. I think we kind of like have really specific desires and interests and like ways we approach the world, but I don't see them as flaws. The only thing I think is the most annoying is how you want your apples cut. It's so ridiculous. It's like you're going to eat the apple either way and you're going to get the same experience as eating an apple. Warren has to have it cut like this insane way that you almost cut off your finger every time.
It looks like it, but I don't. So growing up, we always, in my family, would cut apples into quarters, and then we would cut the quarter, like left, right. So each quarter looks the same. It's symmetrical. You get most of the apple, and then you cut apples, just chop, chop, chop around the core, not through the middle. And for me, that was new because I'm like, this is not what I'm used to. So if that's the number one thing that bugs you about me and my flaws, then I think that's pretty good, hopefully.
Yeah. So now I make all the meals, but you cut your own apples.
I tried teaching you one time and you just didn't like it.
Yeah, because the risk versus reward just doesn't make sense to me. getting a like half a centimeter extra of apple with the potential risk of cutting your finger. Like everything that we do, I try to run an analysis on. It's like, is the pros outweighing the cons? And with this apple situation, it's just, I would be happy to cut your apples, but I just don't want to include this extra risk of like the way you want to cut them.
Well, for the record, I've never cut my fingers cutting apples in 2 or 3 decades.
I know.
And
I could.
if you want to do an analysis on this, when the apple pieces are all symmetrical, each bite, your top teeth get the inside of the apple, your bottom teeth get the skin. So each bite is optimal crunchiness. With your way of cutting the apples, the skin sometimes meets the flesh of the apple at weird angles, and each bite is like completely different.
Okay. I'm not talking about like the semantics of how the apple feels, like as you're eating it. I'm talking about injury or, you know, which that could lead to like an infection and then lead to death. So, I mean, we're trying to reduce our risk of dying early.
But this is yes, we are. But this is a big point of clarification because I eat food and I want to eat it for sustenance and enjoyment. Kayla views food as just sustenance. Yeah. So she will eat an amazingly well-made dinner that she made in 4 minutes and her plate's like clear. I will take 40 minutes to enjoy the dinner and the taste and the process. And I've tried encouraging you to go a little slower. I'd be like, okay, pause for 10 seconds before the next bite. And she's already like third, fourth, fifth. I'm like, wow, we are...
Well, contrary to the internet's belief, I have been working many hours my entire life. So I haven't had a lot of time to like have long...
What do you mean contrary to the internet's belief?
Sometimes people are like, think I don't work or something.
Okay, that's funny.
I know. Okay, what is your flaw to me? What is my flaw?
Okay, one flaw that is something that you've been working on, which is great, is your tendency to think about how to optimize and get things perfect, but think about the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario very rarely ever happens. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, we don't need to think about the stress or anxiety of, oh, what if this isn't perfect? It could become this really bad outcome, as opposed to, you know, what I would do of, hey, let's do everything we can to control this so we don't get the bad outcome. And then, you know, it usually oftentimes doesn't happen. But I appreciate that you're thinking about that. But I've realized sometimes it's harder for you than it is me to compartmentalize in my brain. This topic is over here, and I don't need to think about that right now. With you, you can think about 10 topics at once, which I cannot relate to. I'm very much, what was that analogy? Men are like waffles and women are like pancakes, where women are like spaghetti, where all the things mix. Whereas for me, each little waffle square has its own section and I can just ignore other waffle squares.
Yeah, women actually have more connectivity in the brain. So we are a little bit better at multitasking, but also our emotional centers and anxiety centers are actually a bit larger than men. So we are constantly thinking about the emotional aspects of things and having higher baseline levels of stress, which we see on Oura Ring.
Which is going to make you a great mom.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably one of the reasons why women are built like that, right? So you have this like baseline level of waiting for a baby to cry or like being ready for anything. So
yeah.
Okay, well that's not that bad of a thing. So that's great.
No, we didn't say what's the worst flaw.
We've gotten this question a lot because I've mentioned it in podcast interviews and we've just talked about it a little bit, but really haven't talked about the details of what we did. So it's been really exciting to see you. So just backstory, we're going to talk about how we optimized Warren's testosterone naturally. When you and I met, you were on a tiny dose of testosterone. What was the dose?
Whatever the initial recommendation is, it was half of that. So it was very small.
Typically the initial recommendation varies based on like where you're at and where you want to be. But let's just say it was a tiny dose, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I pretty quickly asked you to get off of it because we know that if you're on testosterone, it will interfere with having children. And there's sometimes like a rebound period. So it takes time for the brain to start communicating to the testes again to make its own testosterone when you're replacing it. So you got off of it, which was so kind because we were only dating at the time. So
a couple weeks in, you were like, get off testosterone.
Yeah. So, and you did, and then we did labs after that. So naturally, so your T was like what back then on the little bit of testosterone?
So before I was on the testosterone, I think I was low 600s, maybe 500 something. On the testosterone, I think in 5 or 6 months on the half low dosage, it had gone up to, I think it was 870 or 930. It was one of those two.
Yeah. Okay. And so you were there, you got off of it, it went down to like 550, I think, because it's now.
It was 810. You're right. It was 810 on testosterone. Got off of it and went down.
Yeah, which is natural because it's going to do that. And then what did we do to optimize and get you to a baseline natural T of like 916? That's about where you're at now. Let's talk through that. So from my perspective, what we did, so we did a bunch of labs. This was all early on. So we did the labs that you sent me that I asked you to do when we were dating. And we had some findings of gut health,
Yep.
toxic burden. Those were the two main movers, I think. So we optimized your gut health. So we sent you a GI effects when we were dating. My team and me helped you to optimize that. We did kind of like essentially a gut health optimization protocol. I have a full YouTube video on this that we'll link, but it is, you took some like biocidin, right? So that kills, it's like a, kills any of the bad bugs. And then you did some like gut binders or like a GI detox. Then you did some good bacteria being introduced, and then you kind of sealed the gut lining. So it helped with your gut health. So gut health has a direct impact on testosterone and your natural testosterone production because it also has an impact on your hormones. So we optimized your gut health. We got your total toxic burden, which had some couple different types of like molds and mycotoxins in there, not at crazy high levels, some glyphosate, which is just basically impossible to avoid at this point in life. And because you were eating like organic back then, and some other like parabens and different endocrine disrupting like chemicals, like some phthalates, I think.
Yeah, there was some. It was like some dysbiosis. The worst was the glyphosate, so that's what we got on. But this was a 6-month protocol that I jumped on with you and your team of taking, these 2 supplements the first week, and then the next week you add one, and then month 2 you take some away. So it was like a long, great process of kind of re-overhauling my gut health and trying to decrease my toxic burden load.
Yeah, so I think optimizing those 2 areas, so reducing toxic burden and improving gut health. So by optimizing these areas of just general health, you allow your body to do what it's supposed to do, which is produce higher levels of testosterone. We also changed a few things. So you started eating earlier because you were dating me at that point. Eating earlier, going to bed earlier. We really focused on your sleep optimization because you used to go to bed like before we were dating quite late.
Yes, before I met you, I would eat late and, fall asleep at like 11 or midnight because there's so many good shows to watch.
Yeah.
And now we just move everything up in the day and I freaking wake up at like 4:30 because you sleep longer than me naturally, but not to get too off topic. The way that the testosterone for me was raised from naturally, I think 6 something up to 930 or 920. 916. Okay. Well, the recent one was higher, which was for other, factors. But yeah, it was from a lot of lifestyle changes. The biggest one is probably going to bed earlier, eating earlier. I was eating more like grass-fed, grass-finished steak.
Yeah.
I think that helps.
We did your diet to be all organic, hitting the proper, I think, like protein metrics because I started making all the meals.
Yeah. And not to bash on Chipotle, but before I met you, I was occasionally cheating with some Chipotle now and then, which probably contribute to like the high glyphosate because obviously Chipotle is not organic.
Yeah.
But I was pretty much 90-something% organic, except occasional Chipotle.
Yeah. So, okay, guys, what do you do if you want to improve your testosterone naturally? One, definitely focus on your sleep. So go to bed early. We go to bed at 8:30, but before 10 is going to give you the best optimization of hormones. You want to remove all processed foods from your diet because things of this nature hinder testosterone production. You want to do a whole foods diet, single ingredient only. You want to focus on hitting your protein requirements. So 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight could even go up a little bit depending on how much you're exercising, what phase you're in terms of wanting to add muscle on or muscle hypertrophy, and getting really high quality sleep. You were also doing pretty consistent cold plunging back then. And there's some research showing that for men, strength training, heavy lifting definitely boosts testosterone. If you're sedentary, I'm not surprised whatsoever if you have low T. That's just very clear. And then doing the cold plunging, the working out, and optimizing lifestyle. So you are made to have high testosterone at, young ages. We see a substantial decline in testosterone levels for men. We're seeing levels of men in their 20s similar to like their grandparents. It's horrible. So the sedentary lifestyle, the processed foods, the not moving your body is really decreasing. And then all these environmental toxins are decreasing testosterone. So unfortunately, you're not on Tonga Ali, you're not on any, these supplements. So that are popular. They may work, but that basically it's like lifestyle. So there's no magic bullet for this, but that's what we did.
And for men who want to take it to the next level, doing like compound lifts and intense sprints, doing some HIIT, like that will definitely help also. But what about going on T after we're done having kids? Like when I'm...
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think when you get older, we'll explore. I mean, I think we could try peptides at first, something like a CJC epimorelin, which, you have done in the past for adding muscle, but using it more for that, you're not going to get a huge boost from that. But no, I think after we're done having kids, when your testosterone naturally is declining, I think you should definitely maintain levels of youthful hormones so that you maintain a youthful vigor for life. Aging is the process of all of the good things such as hormones and testosterone and libido and sleep and fat burning, all of that going down and the bad things going up, inflammation, brain fog, adding on weight, all that.
What range of testosterone is normal for women in the healthy range?
Oh, significantly lower. So
like 50?
Well, the range is, I believe, 15 to 70 is the actual range. I would say you want to be somewhere between 20 and 40. If it gets too high, it could be
like nothing.
Something called PCOS. If it's too low, you're not going to have any energy at all. So, but there's other things that matter. So like free T and then SHGB, sex hormone binding, BG binding globulin is also, that's like the carrier for, so a lot of things matter. It's not just one number, but.
So basically my testosterone is supposed to be like 20 to 30 times more than yours.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's why guys have more aggression or, that's why you can put on so much more muscle than I can, much easier.
That's why guys get in bar fights more than women.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we did for the testosterone. How do you go about food prep? Eating well on a time crunch is so hard.
For me, it was find a wife who's amazing that would make our meals, so I lucked out. But for you, the food prep, I mean...
I do really simple meals. It's very clean, but very simple.
Tastes really good. It's not, well, sous vide is pretty simple, I guess, but it tastes good.
But even so basically what I try to do is I always do some sort of protein, usually, a wild fish or, scallop, something of that nature, sometimes grass-fed, grass-finished steak. But it only takes, 5 minutes to prep the meat and then or the protein, and then I do roasted veggies for the most part. So I just chop
your fish lately is amazing.
Yeah.
You learned something that was a game changer like a month ago. Her fish, the salmon at the beginning was kind of like, I really wish I had steak right now. But then a month ago or 2 months ago, your salmon is almost as good as the steak sometimes.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we hired a chef for my female longevity dinner. And while he was here, I picked his brain all day and asking him all the tips. It was nothing wild. So all that I started doing, by the way, we love Seatopia. Yeah. So they test for heavy metals, microplastics. It's the only fish company that I'm aware of. They also send you sushi grade fish, most of it. We get caviar from there. We get just amazing. So we do that. But all that I'm doing in terms of the cooking is I'm preheating a cast iron now. So I'm getting it really hot beforehand and just doing less time at a higher temperature so that it gives a really nice crust. So and then I do this great sauce combination that we've been loving. So it is either a coconut fermented yogurt or a whole fat Greek yogurt. I put in garlic, I put in cumin, and then a little bit of lemon, and that is the sauce. And we do a little bit of hot sauce from Air One on with that, and then a little bit of the chili oil from Air One as well. So.
Yeah, that Greek yogurt sauce for the acid goes really well with the fish. And I love your mushrooms and onions lately.
Thank you.
Not so much the tomatoes. I'm not a big tomato guy.
Yeah,
I know we need it.
What time do you guys eat breakfast? So we eat breakfast at different times. I have my first, let's say, breakfast before I go to the gym. So I have a small amount of protein. So I do a protein coffee. It has about 15 to 20 grams of protein in there. Armra, colostrum, creatine, 5 grams, with, by the way, creatine was just like debunked basically. So we're saying that 5 grams is not enough. So now you need like 10 grams because 5 grams did like nothing in the study. So there's that. So now I need to increase my creatine. But I do that before the gym because women train better fed. Then I have my breakfast right after I get home. So let's say I'm now going to the gym at about 7 o'clock a.m. So at 6:30, I have my protein coffee, and then I have my full breakfast when I get back home from the gym, which is about 8:30 or so.
Which is, you're good about doing more variety now because you're doing eggs, some salad, some kimchi, or fermented carrots sometimes. But your plate is like really variety. I don't like having a lot of fiber in the morning, which I might need to change. I'm just waiting for your verdict. But
someone asked the question about how much fiber to intake every day. We're aiming for at least 30 grams of fiber.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah, minimum. Like 40 is better, but.
So timing wise, we both have morning coffee with stuff in it. I'll put the protein in it and the creatine, and then you'll eat earlier and I'll eat maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes the 3:30 dinner a little more difficult because then I need to eat all my calories in like a 6-hour window, which is basically intermittent fasting.
Yeah. What do you guys do for fun? Socialization.
All of this is, socialization specifically?
Well, it's 2 questions. What do you do for fun, and then socialization?
Well, in terms of what we do for fun, all of this to us is fun. So I enjoy all of this. We're basically building our life in a way that we enjoy doing everything. So even our work, our stuff that like all your partnerships or content, you're interested in it. For socialization, I mean, we have a lot of friends and family here. We are moving to Austin, so that will be a big change. But we'll get plugged into a great church. We both know some people in Austin. But socialization, I would say like 1, 2 at the most dinners per week with other people. Sometimes we'll have people over, which is great in LA because in LA you have to drive everywhere. So if you can host dinners at your place or go somewhere, like we enjoy that more than a restaurant. Well, socialization, I mean, for work stuff, we're always talking with people. So it's not like we're starved for, communication other than each other.
I hang out with people quite a bit, actually. I have, I work out with someone every day. One of my workout partners is a neuroscientist. My other workout partner is, she is like an expert in computer science. And so Kay and Harper, I hang out with one of them or do workouts with them every day or, 6 days a week. And then we have other hangout sessions, just like, we go on a walk. Our neighbor, Brooke, I go on a walk with her a few times a week. So basically I'm incorporating healthy habits into hangouts with friends.
Yeah, you're really good at doing social activities with activities you would already do. So like if I'm not free to go on a walk, you'll go on a walk with one of our neighbors. We've met a lot of our neighbors from going on walks, and we don't have a dog. So it is possible for those of you that want to meet, other people, just go outside and walk around. We just spent Easter with my family. My sister had a baby 24 hours ago. So we're excited to meet our new little nephew. Yeah. That will be really fun.
Let's see, how to get a man to take his health seriously or best ways to communicate with him. And then there was another question that's similar, is how to encourage your partner to be healthy without nagging.
Yeah. I love the end of that question, how to communicate with your partner about being healthy. I think if you're a female and you want to talk to a male in your life about being healthier, a big component of this is approaching it with respect and ask a question rather than a statement. So if he's unhealthy and you're way healthier, instead of saying, I want you to be healthier, why aren't you doing this? You would say something, a question that kind of helps you guys be on a team. So you would say like, I'm sure you want to get great sleep. Are there ways that I can help you get better sleep tonight or next week, as opposed to you need to get better sleep, which he will hear that as he's failing, he's not doing the right job, you're disapproving of him. But if you ask the question, hey, how can I support you get better sleep? You said you had low energy yesterday and 2 days ago, and I'd love to help you. Then he'll feel like on a team, like, oh, let's figure this out, let's do this. And you're great at that. So like, you don't like me eating certain snacks sometimes, and maybe a year ago you might have said, why are you going to eat that, or are you going to eat that? Now you would say, what would you say now that was really great the other day? You kind of like made a joke about it and said, I'm sure you want to be really healthy. If I bought more fruit, would that help you eat less or whatever? It was a question that was really like nice, and I was like, yeah, if we had more of the blackberries, then that would help me eat less of this other snack. And kind of like dinner moving up, this has also been evolving.
Yeah.
Slower than you'd like, but
I think also just like if you are in a relationship, just doing some of it for the other person. Like I pre-pack all of your supplements so you don't have to do them. Yeah. I look at your labs and then I determine what supplements you need to take, and then I pre-pack them for you. And then I put them, where you asked me to. So it also is just like removing a barrier. Like I know that you're doing a lot for us. So I just kind of try to handle the health realm of things. Like if I want you to do tests, I just schedule it and, help you to prepare everything. And then you kind of just show up and do it.
yeah, and take baby steps too. Like if you're healthy and your man is not, instead of like getting mad he's not going to the gym every day, working out for an hour and a half, like, ask him if he wants to go on a walk with you. And then, after the walk, you'll probably both feel better, and you'll say, man, that felt really good. I love days when we go on a walk at night after dinner. And then you do a walk for like a month, and then you encourage him to do something else. So that's one way, kind of sneaky.
How old is Warren?
I'm 37 years old.
How do you keep dating each other without spending too much money?
Well, I feel like we're pretty simple in that we have a range of activities we enjoy doing together that aren't crazy extremes. So I view every night as a date night because you make great dinner, high quality food, and we enjoy eating food here. Occasionally we'll do something special going out of the house, but I mean, I think every night is special. But we don't define fun or date nights as going out, for 5 hours, doing 3 activities and spending tons of money.
Well, I would rather like just do something simple, like go to the gym together or do a hike or go on a walk. So like to me, getting dressed up to go to a restaurant with like seed oils and like, a whole bunch of other nonsense just doesn't sound like any fun to me. So I would rather order Air One, which is not inexpensive, by the way, but I think you've kind of like in your brain just allowed me to.
Yeah, I've shut that off. I'm not going to think about the price of food, but you are good about ordering not just Air One, but also like, Sprouts or Gelson's still like nice grocery stores that are not nothing.
Yeah, because I noticed the other day that the same exact berries that were at Air One, which are my favorite ones, which are those like they're called Jumbos is the brand. Air One charges $13 for them. Sprouts charges $8 for the exact same one.
Yeah. Well,
I'm all about like spending a lot of money on food because it's like you get one body and we don't do other stuff. Like
we're not drinking at all.
We don't drink. We don't go to like nightclubs. So I'm all for spending a lot of money on food. But like I think there's like a level to which it just becomes offensive that you could order and have delivered and it's like literally.
Yeah, you're also good at not spending money on a lot of things and then having a lot of waste. So if you're going to buy a new sweater, you're not buying a new sweater every month. You're buying a sweater every few months, but it's a high quality sweater that you'll have for, I don't know, a few years as opposed to 1 year. I've noticed some of my friends that are, couples, they will, one of them will have a buying habit, which I'm like, man, you're just always buying stuff. Whereas you're like a minimalist, which I'm not. So we've had an interesting dynamic of getting rid of stuff.
What are your top marriage hacks in order to keep communication and love strong?
Whoa. This is like a long podcast we could do. Okay, you want to go first?
Well, you're better at this than me. So I'm better at health stuff. You're better at communication. So maybe you should. First of all, I'll just say I've learned a lot about communication from you. I thought my communication was pretty good before. I mean, I've led teams, I've been a business owner, I've been communicating with people for a really long time, but not in, obviously the sense of a marriage. And I've learned a ton. I've learned a lot of areas that I need to improve. And you've been really patient with me while I'm trying to improve in those areas. I think the marriage optimization meeting is a good communication tool.
Yeah, I think our communication. So we've been working intentionally on communication for a while, and we have a standing meeting every other Saturday. We basically call it our monthly marriage optimization meeting. I created an agenda when we first got married, and it's basically a time for us to be like, okay, how are we doing in our marriage? What are some of the good and bad the past few weeks? What are things we can work on? Are there preferences you have that I could know about and change because I love you, and then vice versa? So having that meeting, which we call it a meeting, it's just us doing this and talking, has been really helpful. I think that, for me, a big principle that every couple needs to know is that men typically respond really well to feeling respected and women respond to feeling loved. And for us, it was really thinking through like, okay, how can I make sure she feels loved? Even if I think I'm doing things where it's obvious that I love you, it's still good for me to know, well, you still like to hear it. You still like me to talk about it more than I would otherwise talk about it. And for you, things that, you would, like for you, it's a given that you respect me and what I'm doing, but I can still get sad if you do things that makes me feel disrespected.
Yeah.
So just knowing that difference is going to make a world of difference. But some of the things we talk about in the marriage meeting are like, what's a compliment you have for me over the past couple weeks? And I have a compliment for you. And then we do that before we get to the preferences section of, hey, I noticed that when you do this thing, I should have like an example here, I guess. What's a preference that you would do for me? Okay, like one small preference, and I'm like annoyingly picky, and I appreciate that you put up with it. But I'll say, hey, I really appreciate that you take care of all of our food. Maybe we can make a tweak where you get more variety. So instead of getting, 4 Ollipops that are all the same flavor, you can just get one of each flavor. So that way, based on my mood when I go to the fridge, I could pick a new flavor. Some people might think, oh, are you kidding me? Like, she's already doing so much for you with food. But for me, I'm like, well, if you're already going to do it and it would give me 50% more enjoyment for you to make that little tweak, I want you to know that so you can love me better. But also, I want to know what you're thinking. Because if I'm, telling you how much I love you, once every couple of days, and you're like, hey, I really appreciate hearing that, I'm like, oh, then I'll just tell you every day or every hour, like whatever you want, because I want to like make sure you're good.
Yeah, I love that. Do you want to tell everyone what your bad snacks are?
Is that a question on the thing?
No.
My bad snacks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have one bad drink drawer in the refrigerator where the just aforementioned Ollipops go.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to the food stuff, she strives to be like 100% perfect. I strive to be in the 90 percentile. I really get enjoyment from sipping a nice drink, not alcohol, just like an Ollipop. So for me, one of my downfalls of health is I'm not just drinking water and raw milk. I like flavored stuff. So we have Ollipop on the top left part of the shelf, so it's removed from her eyesight when she opens it, even though I think it's really pretty because it's all the colors. They did a great job with their design. We're investors in Ollipop too, by the way, so we're supporting them.
Well, I think you made us our investment back there.
This was before we came together. The other snack that's not great, which we've already talked about, is the lesser evil popcorn, which is organic popcorn, not a ton of calories. I love crunching on something when we're watching a great show at night or documentary. But I'll like eat it slowly for half an hour. Now it's half an hour of enjoyment, and we're together and watching a great show, so it's great. You don't have any foods where you want to eat for half an hour and enjoy it. Even dark chocolate, which I think you do 90% or higher, which is pretty intense because I think we've done 100% once, and that is bitter.
Yeah.
But you're not eating that for half an hour. You'll eat it in like 2 minutes. Popcorn, Ollipop. What are other bad snacks I have?
think that's all right now, but they have their own separate areas. And it's kind of funny because I have a friend who,
Oh yeah, Harper.
I'm going to throw Harper. Harper, I'm throwing you under the bus. For some reason, Harper comes over and she only goes to the bad snack drawer.
Because well, where's the other snacks? All we have is nuts and flax seeds, and it's just
I'm like, I don't know. You could have a salad. You could have some vegetables. Like you could do a lot of things here, but.
And when your mom came over and I was gone a few weeks ago, I texted her, hey, the good snacks are, you know, in the top right or whatever. And then she was like, there's nothing here. Kayla hit it all. You're like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my mom was like, I think she was joking, but she like wanted me to get, I took her to Erewhon so like she could just go, she went to 3 Erewhons actually. But we went there and she wanted me to get these like nacho chips or something. And I was like, obviously not. You can pick anything anywhere else, but nothing in that bad snack aisle.
you took your mom to 3 Erewhons in 2 days. That's most people that come to LA want to see the traditional stuff, but well, you did some traditional, but 3 Erewhons, that's hilarious.
Basically just like a visit to Erewhon was her trip. And it was like a crash, like big eating change, I think. She totally like did super well though.
No, she loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it. Oh, one other thing I like are plantain chips.
Oh yeah, that chip.
Those are, I like a crunch. That's the thing is if you eat like carnivore or paleo, it's hard to get a crunch. You know, celery doesn't, I mean, that's not a crunch. Like I'm talking like a tortilla chip crunch. So I have something in my brain that likes the salty crunch. Pork rinds, we actually don't have those right now. We could start maybe getting those.
Yeah. Okay, my husband's worried about his hair loss. What can we do naturally? I'll answer this real quick. So I would look at red light therapy. So you do the red light cap for 10 minutes per day. So some sort of cap. Red light therapy is great for helping to improve hair growth. You can't bring back dead follicles, but you can help to thicken follicles that are still there. One Skin has a great new hair product. So the OS hair, that's a great one. There's also some data on rosemary oil that you've used in the past. So those are natural ways to do it.
Am I taking any supplements right now for hair stuff or no?
No.
Got it.
The only, like when it comes to hair supplements, I actually just did a podcast with Dr. Carolina from One Skin. A lot of them, what they're doing is blocking the DHT. And I don't really love the idea of influencing your hormones, like impacting your hormones. So, okay, I think wellness date ideas, I think hiking. I mean, we live in California right now, so it's really easy. Anything nature, walks. We go to Erewhon. It's like really the only restaurant that we go to at this point. And yeah, I think we were going to do like surfing at one point or go to the beach.
Yeah, anything outside of nature where you're getting grounded. But you could also do other date activities that are kind of weird, like, hey, today we're gonna each throw away 6 things in the house. And that's like mentally healthy because you're, you know, kind of clearing up, you know, quote unquote RAM in your brain. You could put on a YouTube and search like, you know, basically yoga for couples or something. And then you could do fun, like, you know, stuff that takes 2 people. That's one you could do.
We used to go to the gym a lot together early days, like of our dating. Now we have different gym schedules, but I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it's just hard to work out with someone unless you're on their split because we both have different things that we like.
That's true. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more quick questions. How do you realistically see your routines with kids, nanny, night nurse, etc.? Yes, we do plan on having a nanny and a night nurse. So just being honest, I know that that's not accessible for everybody, but probably in the beginning, a night nurse, because I still want to prioritize sleep, but I also intend on breastfeeding. So I'll still have to wake up, but it will lessen my burden a little bit because we're both still going to be working too and like running business. You're taking on most of the like work, but I still really enjoy working and building things. So
yeah, no, I mean, you have a lot to do. And also like we're starting later in our life. So it's not like we're in our early 20s, you know, having kids. So we've like worked really hard and, you know, we're allocating some money to be like, okay, when we have kids, we're going to need some help because we're obviously not going to be able to do as much as we're doing now. But yeah, I mean, we've had to work really hard to kind of create what we're doing now. But we're also not spending money in like weird places, you know, like we don't, like a lot of people love travel. They want to travel way more than we do and we're not. So
I actually kind of have to travel a lot these days, but
Well, that's work stuff.
Work stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get my fill. Okay, this is a good one. What do you admire most in each other, and how would you overcome marriage problems? I admire Warren's relationship with God, your ability to lead me, your dedication to health, and creating like an incredible life for us. I love that you want me to not have stress, and you encourage me to relax. There's so many things. I mean, I love everything about you. That's why we're married.
We're married.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I really admire about you is your ability to work as hard as you do in all these other areas, which takes a lot of like proactiveness and assertiveness. But then when we hang out, especially at the end of the day, you're able to switch and kind of become, like soft and feminine. And it feels very different from how we are maybe, on a call at 10 in the morning when you have to be kind of like more of a girl boss. But then at the end of the day, we're able to, kind of relax with each other. And I think at the beginning, making that switch was a little tricky when we have to go back and forth all the time. But now, I mean, I think we're in a great flow where it's like you're really helping me with a lot of these things, and I really appreciate that. Like all the stuff you do as a chief health officer, I really admire that you know more about me than that. If guys are intimidated by that, and I mean, I feel like that's unhealthy because it's like, why wouldn't you be excited about that? So I really respect that about you, and your heart for family and kids. Like you're going to be a great mom. So we will.
Our kids are definitely going to be all organic. There's that. Not sure if that's for everybody, but
Yeah, I love teasing you and being like, what if we have, our 12-year-old wants to just go crazy and just eat tons of candy? What are you going to do?
one of us is the boss and one of us is not.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for the 12-year-old, he will be unable to do such behavior.
Why is it a guy? It might be your daughter.
Could be. But in general, I mean, if anyone's listening to this, I feel like there's just a massive deficit of good men these days. Like finding you was so rare, and finding you in LA was like even more mind blowing to me. I did not think I was going to find my husband like in a city like LA, because to be honest, there's just so much like nonsense, and so many guys with like, I mean, I guess I don't really even know, but I just assume in general, there are so many guys that are always like just wanting to be on apps, and you really wanted to like settle down and be married to the right woman, of course. But I think if you're a man listening to this, like you need to find people. Like if I were you, I'd want to become more like you.
Thank you.
Because it's very rare to find someone that is ambitious, successful, smart, good looking, and like morally sound. So I know how lucky I am. And I just love you.
Well, thank you. I love you too. And yeah, just as there are not a lot of great men out there with strong character and, 10 of the boxes checked off, I feel bad for a lot of the women also, because the dating advice that culture, basically throws on us is not great. So a lot of guys are not necessarily looking for someone who's like a strong, sassy, like, talking back person. It's like they want someone who's confident, sure, but not someone who's, going to make their life harder. And, you kind of got that right away, and you understand that, but some, women out there don't have that modeled for them growing up, or they don't understand how different men and women are. Because just because you're different doesn't mean you're not still equal, but you're different. So your needs are very different than mine.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, there's like this meme going around, like probably needed a hug, but have you seen this? It's like a video trend. Have you guys seen that? Okay. Okay. You've seen it. So it's like, you probably needed a hug, but instead of getting a hug, you went off and did this thing. So for me, it's like, I probably needed a hug, but I went off and built like multi-million-dollar businesses. So I've been doing that and getting a validation of my worth for like how much of a business output I could have for so long. And it's so nice to be married. Like I've been saying, it's like the best health optimization thing, but like finally your nervous system can just relax a little bit. Like I've done all or most of the things that I wanted to do like professionally at this point. And it's just such a different feeling to have this like comfort and peace and security in knowing, you know, that you and I get to do life for the rest of ever. And I think to go back to the second part of the question, how would you handle marital problems? I mean, we agreed when we got married, like there's just like, we don't use specific, like we don't
use the D word.
We don't use the D word. We don't talk about that. Like, you know, we got married, I was 32, you were 35, and we waited long enough for the right person, right? Like we knew it.
Yeah.
And we also, in our brains, are like, we're getting married one time and that's it. Like marriage isn't a thing that you try out. It's not like a fad diet. It's not like a new workout program. If you get married, you should be married for the rest of your life. And that's, you know, I don't even know how to talk about that.
Yeah, it's hard because I want to share a lot of advice, but you know, a lot of it's going to be through the lens of me being, you know, a Christian and how I approach things. But even if you remove that, a lot of this is still really practical. But I think part of why we were able to go so quickly is because we knew what we wanted and we were really upfront about it, like, and we didn't waste a lot of time. So if you're a woman or a man and you're like getting older and you really want to, you know, find your person to get married, like, for me, it's like ask about kids like right away. I lost my voice. I think you should ask about kids on the first date or on the first like FaceTime if you meet online. Like, hey, like, do you want a family? Do you want a bigger family or a smaller family? You know, in 5 years, do you think you'll still be living in Florida or do you think you can move around? Because, you know, a lot of people meet online like we did. We were in different states. So you were Ohio, I was Los Angeles. But like none of this wait till the 5th date to find out if they want to have kids. Like, what, you want to waste 2 months and a few nights of your precious life investing in someone and you don't want to ask them right off the bat, do you want kids? Like, it's a pretty big, it baffles me that people get married and then they don't talk about the basics. They don't talk about, you know, what happens when, you know, this thing in life might happen, or, hey, if my job, you know, takes me and transfers me to Illinois, would you be okay, like, you know, basically taking our family over there? Like, there's a lot of, you know, like, you need to date with intention and you need to court. You can't just bounce around. But if you're not finding a good guy, then just move on and just don't waste time. Like, I mean, that's my thought, but I know a lot of women out there really are frustrated. A lot of men also are frustrated at you know, dating.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's good enough for today. Jonas, do you have any questions? By the way, guys, Jonas is single.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of great men, we have a handful of guys here.
Yeah. There are currently 4 men in our living room.
Jonas, put a screenshot of each of you guys on.
Is everyone here single? Okay, yeah, everybody is single.
Wait, all of you are single?
Jonas, I know Jonas best. He's into longevity. Jonas, how are you, 26 or?
27.
27. What's your biological age?
23.
Okay. Very into longevity. We'll include a link to his handle because we're trying to help him be intentional about dating, and he needs a wife that is healthy. So if you are watching this and you live in LA,
yeah, let's put the Instagrams in like the video description, so then you can click on them. But yeah, Jonas would be a good catch for someone. So
all right,
we can't take him away from all the stuff we're doing here. So
yeah, but he's very busy, so
he's
keep
very
that
busy.
in mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right.
Any last minute questions or things we should touch on?
No questions. All right, I think that's good.
Cool, good job.